Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about the challenge Season 40, Episode 8, titled The Era of the Gladiator. Previously on the challenge, after an Era 3 daily win, Calculator Kyland and Matthew Michelle eliminated Tina and Darrell, and picked Rachel and Derek, Cara and Derek C, Corey and Avery, and Jenny and Theo as targets for this week. Before I dive in, I put a link in the description to my playlist, where you can catch up on my previous recaps. If you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. But let's dive into it. Back at the house, Rachel and Derek mourn their fallen soldiers, but Rachel isn't scared and is ready to take on everybody. Derek addresses his leg injury and is committed to pushing himself as far as he can. Jenny is still pissed off that she keeps being nominated, but Casey points out that Jenny doesn't even try to play the game or make connections, and calls Jenny a rookie despite Jenny being a challenge champion. Nehemiah doesn't feel connected to his team. Team Drama, aka Era 2. Nehemiah has bonds with Corey and Era 3, which leads Corey to want to ditch his team's alliance with Era 4. Ryan is tired of Bananas and Laurel, so he moves rooms to not deal with them anymore. Bananas is usually in the right in House Drama, but he's really coming off as a bully here in his treatment of Ryan, kind of following him around the house and bragging about how he's the most winningest player in challenge history. Derek K proposes to Theo that Era 1 and 4 work together as a defensive alliance if Era 2 and 3 are working together, so they agree to that. They head to their daily challenge, which is sponsored by Gladiator 2, complete with a whole promotion from TJ, Gladiator music, a trailer from the movie, and everyone cheering like they just actually watched the trailer. They didn't bring a TV outside. The challenge is called Battle for Honor. They'll be in a ring with shields with the goal of pushing their opponents out of the ring and being the last Era standing. There will be gendered heats, and after 20 minutes, the team with the most players standing win the challenge. This is completely not fair when there's a team of only 2 people where 1 is injured. The team alliances come into play here, sort of. Era 4 are going to try to help the Era 1 players, so they get started with the men going first and banging heads. They all respectively don't gang up on Derek at first, which is nice I guess, but Corey pushes Derek over. I hate that, leave him alone. The players are getting really banged around. Jordan gets a black eye. Bananas is out first, followed by Derek C. Throughout this, Corey keeps wailing on Derek K, who eventually gets pushed out with Jordan. Ryan drops out too, and Corey and Devin try to strike a deal with Era 4, which Theo declines, so they go back at it, which royally turns on Olivia. Theo is DQ'd, and Nehemiah, Devin, Corey, Kyland, and Josh are the men left standing after 20 minutes of play. After the round, Corey is heated and talking smack. Derek and Corey have a fight where Corey says he showed mercy on Derek, and Derek lobs his life vest at Corey's back. I thought they were about to go at it here. The women are next, with Naya trying to get Casey, losing her balance and falling out of it, and Avery getting shoved out quickly. Tori is last standing for Era 3. Cara tries to orchestrate a united front against Tori, and Laurel tries to help Cara to target Tori, but they fail, and most of the women are still standing at the end of the round. After the rounds, Era 1 are the losers because they have the least players standing, with 1, and will be in elimination. This is so effed up. Derek and Rachel would have had to be the sole victors of both rounds to not see elimination this episode, which is so unrealistic. Era 4 are the winners, so Theo and Jenny will have to decide between Derek C and Cara, and Corey and Avery to go into elimination with them. They head to the Deliberation, where Avery publicly campaigns to Jenny and offer for Era 3 and 4 to work together in an alliance, and Corey goes hard campaigning. Derek and Cara don't really have an argument, but Avery is annoyed that Derek C doesn't volunteer to go in after she went out of her way to save him weeks ago. Derek K announces that he wants to go against Era 3's Corey and Avery. Afterwards, Corey vows revenge if he's sent in, and Era 4 have a heated debate on the decision, which Michelle calls a sham because Jenny and Theo both have connections with Era 2, and Jenny and Theo admit to staging this beating despite having already made up their minds. They tell Avery and Corey that they're the pick, blaming the vote and Era 1's preference as the reasons for their choice. Corey is annoyed yet again, this time at Casey and Josh for turning on him in the sham vote. After hearing about the vote from Michelle, Devin has lost trust in Josh and Casey. Elsewhere, Josh and Corey are fighting and having a goofy off. Corey is big mad at Josh about the Era 4 vote, and there's big trouble in paradise for the Vacation Alliance. It also looks like they were getting ready to go to the club, but sadly no club venture this episode. A loss for us all. We want the club. We want the club. They head to the elimination, where obviously Theo and Jenny send down Corey and Avery. Corey is already being annoying and whining about Derek throwing his life jacket at him. They'll be playing Fate of the Gladiators, where one person is the striker who has boxing gloves and is blindfolded. The evader is wearing squeaky shoes and bells and a bunch of powder-filled targets attached to them that look like garlic. The blindfolded player has to break as many of their opponent's targets as they can as fast as they can. The women are first, with Rachel as striker and Avery as evader. Rachel really starts jabbing right at Avery and honestly beats the crap out of her. I guess Avery's strategy is to keep her back from Rachel so she can't get the targets on her back, but the result is just her getting punched right in the face repeatedly. Avery isn't even trying to run away from Rachel, she just gets the shit kicked out of her for 5 minutes. They switch positions and Avery is trying to get Rachel, but Rachel is running away in circles. Avery really can't catch Rachel, though she does get some targets off Rachel, eventually does get some hits in. Derek and Corey are next, with Corey as striker first. Poor Derek is trying to evade Corey, opting to keep his back to Corey. They switch sides and Derek really attacks Corey, like an animal at every opportunity, with with a final tackle from Corey, which seems to further hurt Derek's leg. Derek and Corey have a moment of mutual respect, having just royally wailed on each other. In the results, Rachel got all of her targets, but Avery missed 6, so we have to say goodbye to Avery here, who is making a huge comeback to the show after a consistent showing on All Stars 4. And then here was probably one of the bigger Who Is That players on the cast for viewers who only recently started watching the main show. She really proved her worth in this season with the move to stand up to Tony and send herself into elimination, which was really badass, and even though she ends up being eliminated here a few episodes later, history will remember her kindly. I hope we get to see her again on the main show because I feel like she never really got to have a solid run at being a challenger. For the men, Derek and Corey both scored all of their targets, but Derek did it slower. So we're gonna lose Derek here, who obviously is a legend and was a huge asset to Era 1. His injury was so bad for the plot of the season, as not only was he so badly injured, but he chose to keep on going, which yes, proved that he'll keep fighting no matter what, but also was so bad for his team. And I'm surprised they didn't take the opportunity to pull him from the game and replace him with CT or someone else who didn't have a broken leg. I always enjoy him and hope we see him again, and would even like to see him on other shows, though I feel like the headbangery of it all makes me mostly enjoy him in this kind of setting. In silly news, Rachel and Corey won movie tickets to see Gladiator 2. And where is their T-Mobile sidekick? They get to decision making and picking targets, with Casey and Kyland volunteering for Era 4, Devin and Tori volunteer for Era 3, for Era 2, Laurel is picked and Ryan volunteers. They also tell Rachel she is still the target, even though she just won elimination, which is honestly, like I said, so effed up. She should be safe. We're all rooting for Rachel at this point, right? I don't even care if the show somehow rigs it for Rachel to make it all the way to the end, because the show has already been so rigged against Era 1 the last few weeks. Let's get those karma points coming in. But overall, that's all I have to say about this episode. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'll be back later this week with the Big Brother 26 finale. If you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, have a nice weekend. Bye.